The Supreme Court's decision to strike down President Trump's reciprocal tariffs doesn't end his plans for pharmaceutical industry tariffs. Join us now, former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb. He's a CNBC contributor, serves on the boards of Illumina, Pfizer, and United Health. You're not so sure, are you? Hasn't the pharmaceutical industry agreed to a lot of what the president wanted, and are future tariffs necessary at this point for where President Trump wanted to go with pharmaceuticals?
Yeah, look, I think you're right. I would be surprised to see tariffs put back on the table with respect to the drug makers, because a lot of the deals that the president struck with the drug makers, those most favored nation deals, the drug pricing deals, specifically excluded tariffs being imposed on those companies. I mean, it's possible that the president could seek to impose tariffs on companies that don't strike those drug pricing deals, but I think the administration got most, if not everything, that they wanted in the context of those deals. And remember, the most impactful piece of those deals is yet to roll out, which is that the big drug makers that struck those agreements with the administration also said that they wouldn't launch drugs at lower prices in Europe relative to the U.S., and so they're going to launch their future drugs at world prices. And so we have yet to see that roll out. You also saw the companies commit to build manufacturing back here in the U.S., which was a big pretense of the tariffs from the get-go. The president wanted to reshore manufacturing, and that was also baked into those deals. So I think the administration got a lot of what they wanted in those deals. I would be surprised to see them reach back to tariffs. They specifically excluded the drug companies from the Section 122 tariffs. The Section 232 tariffs are still hanging out there with the Commerce Department. You know, it is possible that they'll seek to impose those on companies that don't strike these drug pricing deals. But for the companies that struck those deals, I wouldn't expect this to be revisited.
Yeah, I mean, you said so that the 232 tariffs are probably voluntary agreements, probably exempted from those either way, do you think?
Well, exempted from the 122 tariffs, that was in the White House fact sheet. The 232 tariffs address national security issues. And one of the reasons that the president talked about tariffs with respect to the drug makers from the get-go was his concerns about offshore manufacturing. And so they could reach to those 232 tariffs for companies that didn't strike the MFN deals. You know, I would submit, and I've said all along, I don't think tariffs are an effective way to try to reshore manufacturing. Most of the branded companies, to the extent that they manufacture overseas at all, do it in countries like Ireland, which really don't pose a national security risk to the United States. And to the extent that generic drug makers do source their KPI and their API from the KSM and their API from countries like China, which does pose a national security risk, I think the president's absolutely right. Those are such low-margin products that if they impose tariffs on those companies, it's not that they're going to reshore manufacturing. I think they'll get out of those markets entirely, and we will face generic drug shortages. So tariffs are a very inefficient tool, I think, to address what the president's seeking to do, which is reshore manufacturing. I think the MFN deals that he struck with the companies, the drug pricing deals, were much more effective. And you are seeing companies commit billions of dollars to reshore manufacturing here in the U.S.
Did you watch the Olympics?
I did.
Scott? Beautiful mountains in Cortina. You know what looks like that one mountain in Cortina? A Novo Nordisk 5-year stock chart. Maybe we can get one of those up. We are now, I think, below where that stock was when it first introduced Wegovy. And there was more news about it. There. See? Doesn't that? There's where the woman's downhill was, right? Or that men's downhill. Doesn't that look like it? Look at that. That is a mess in terms of shareholders.
Well, look, I think the news today that you referenced really confirms what we've known all along. We've talked about in this show. I think Lilly has a best-in-class drug with respect to tirzepatide. Some people thought CagriSema could, meet that drug's efficacy. I think, I was doubtful. Others were doubtful. And also keep in mind, Lilly has another drug behind tirzepatide, retatrutide, which is the so-called triple G, glucagon-like peptide, GLP, and GIP, which may be even more effective if you look at the data that they put out last year in their Triumph trial. That was more effective than tirzepatide. So I think Lilly's going to be in this game for a long time. I think they have a best-in-class portfolio right now, and it certainly looks better in terms of overall efficacy than the Novo compounds.
So there's even more data coming from Eli Lilly that could even make things even tougher for Novo.
Lilly's going to have data from that Triumph trial, their phase 3. They have readouts in 3 separate phase 3s in cardiovascular disease, sleep apnea, and weight loss, probably early to mid this year, and they could be filing this year for an approval next year. So that's their next generation product, this so-called triple G. which could be better than tirzepatide. They put out data late last year which looked very good. It looked better than tirzepatide in a phase 2 trial. So they have a good portfolio. They've done a good job building out that pipeline. They also have the oral that's going to be coming this year as well. So they do have a good offering for patients who need to lose weight and have secondary risks associated with weight.
Well, Scott, tell us just real quick, because people are talking about this drug like crazy. I see Huberman and others on X and other things talking about how I can't even pronounce it. Starts with the R that you're discussing. How different it is than what Ozempic really is?
It has another compound in it. So, it has this glucagon-like peptide in it, so it could be more efficacious. It could also, have more potential side effects associated with that. We haven't seen it in the trial data to date. We'll have the phase 3 readout. But assuming the side effect profile is the same or if not better, it is probably going to be, in my view, more efficacious based on the data that we've seen than tirzepatide in terms of overall weight loss.
Okay, Scott.
And you get to keep the muscle, apparently.
You do?
Supposedly. Is that true?
It doesn't have a compound in it that restores muscle. That's another compound that Lilly also has in development. But it certainly shouldn't be any worse with respect to muscle wasting. And a lot of that is associated just with the weight loss. I don't think that that's an independent effect. You get muscle loss with weight loss. And so people need to compensate for that, probably by lifting weights while they're trying to lose weight.
But if people tell me they don't want to drink, they don't want to, I mean, it sounds almost like a psychological drug more than a physiological thing. It removes the craving for everything. Scott, does it?
It does seem like it does appear to work that way. Certainly, you see reports of people drinking less, and there's studies underway looking at these drugs for cessation of alcohol.
Jesus. Do you want to do anything, or just sit there? I mean,
You talk to people on these drugs, and I had the same reaction you did. How could you take this drug and not enjoy a meal? But you talk to people who take these drugs, and they say, "Look, we enjoy our meals. We just eat less."